Okay, in this lesson we're going to take a look at how to factor something. And when we say factor, all we mean is rewriting an expression a different way so that it still has the same meaning, but maybe the way it's written is a little more convenient. And as we get more and more complicated with the expressions we look at, you see a couple of them up here. For example, the one in red, it has a 3x squared and it has a 12. And these two terms are added together. Sometimes in the process of doing things algebraically, it'd be a lot easier if the 3x and the 12, or 3x squared and the 12 weren't added together, but instead we could convert it into something that shows two terms multiplied together, yet still has the same overall meaning. So we're going to start with the technique called the greatest common factor. What we want to do is we want to look at this term 3x squared and 12 and determine what those have in common in terms of what's a number we could divide into those easily and get a nice value. Okay? Now, in this case, it looks to me like we could divide both numbers by 3. So what I'm going to do is do that and divide both numbers by 3. Now, that 3 doesn't go away. It still is part of the expression. We're just going to write it out in front. And what you're going to see here is something that looks kind of like what you've practiced as the distributive property, only we're just doing it in reverse. It's still the same property. Okay, 3x squared divided by 3. 3 divided by 3 gives me 1, so I'm left with 1x squared. 12 divided by 3 gives me positive 4. Okay, and this right here is what we call factored. Okay, it has the same meaning as our original expression in red, it just is written in a different way. And as we get into more complex math, you're going to see how it's easier to write it in the factored form. It's much more useful to us anyway. Now notice, if I wanted to, I could take this 3 and I could distribute it right back in, and guess what? I get right back where I started. So that's kind of a test to see if you are factoring things correctly. You can always go in reverse and see if you get right back to where you started. Now let's take a look at this next one over here. This one's a little tougher just because there's more stuff involved. Okay, we want to say what number could we divide out of here nicely out of both terms. Okay, and a lot of people are easily pick out that they both have a 2 involved as a factor. However, remember, x is also a number. It's just a number I don't know, but it's still a number there. Okay, and notice each one of these has at least one x involved in the expression. So I'm going to divide everything by 2x and see where it gets me. Now remember that 2x doesn't go away, it stays put. It just comes outside the parentheses. Now, 8 divided by 2 gives me 4 over 1. And x squared divided by x to the first, well, that just gives me x. So I get 4x. Now this next part is where people generally kind of go wrong. 2 divided by 2. Does that really equal 0 or does it really equal 1? And the answer is, well, it equals 1. Okay. Now x divided by x, that's the same thing. It's just a number I don't know, but it still equals 1. So what I really have here is minus 1. Remember, there has to be, we would call this the factored form, but there needs to be something in this spot kind of as a placeholder, so if I distribute back in, I get right back where I started. 8x squared minus 2x. See, that has to be there. And right here is the basics of using greatest common factor. Now, when should you use this? My answer would be all the time. Every time you see an expression, the first thing you want to ask yourself is, do these terms have something in common that I could take out with division and make it a little simpler to look at?